Genetic tests are closer to marketing than science. They package complex genetics into simple recommendations that feel personalized. But they often overlook what are the biggest driver of health, performance, and recovery. If you're making sports nutrition decisions based on these test results, you may be optimizing or under-optimizing the wrong things. When I work with an athlete, over time, I create a bond, a relationship. Sometimes it's only professional, sometimes it becomes personal. Also build trust. Unfortunately, at the beginning, when these things are not developed yet, not always, but often, even professional and elite athletes make very bad decisions and put a lot of money in the wrong things. This is the case of a hockey player I've been working with for a few months. We were working together for about 4-6 weeks. Everything was going well. Performance was great, recovery was great, coaches were happy, he was happy, I was happy as well. At one point, I saw one of his games on TV, and it was terrible. Very, very, very bad. The next day, I called him and I asked him, Robert, what's happening? What's going on? And I start to ask questions, as I always do. How is your sleep, your stress, everything at home is good, and many other questions. And everything looked normal. And then I started to ask him questions about sports nutrition. Are you following what we discussed? And he said, oh, yeah, of course, of course. Often coaches need to have tough conversation with his athletes. And I do tough conversation with my athletes when it's necessary. At one point, I told him, listen, Robert, I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to put you down. I'm here to help you. If you don't tell me what you're doing, I can't help you. Do you understand that? So he took a deep breath and he told me, I have this friend that plays this sport and he did this test, and with the result, he started to implement the recommendation and he's doing a lot better. So I asked him, how is it doing for you? Not very well, for what I can see. From that point, it began a great relationship. I'm Shanti Coro, a sport dietitian originally from Italy. For over 20 years, I have helped professional and elite athletes across several sports to elevate performance, enhance recovery, reduce injury risk, optimize health, and extend career longevity through evidence-based sport nutrition strategy, supplementation, smart lifestyle choices, and having a vision. If you're a professional or elite athlete that did or is thinking to buy a genetic nutrition test to improve health, performance, and recovery, this video is for you. In the next few minutes, I will teach you 3 lessons. Lesson number 1, why it is important to trust science. Science does not have all the answers in sport nutrition right now, but it has a lot of answers. Athletes are often looking for an edge to improve either performance or recovery or health. They often buy many gadgets, but we need to learn to listen to science. That is why it's important to have a guide. Lesson number 2, genetic tests cannot predict nutrient metabolism. The nutrient utilization and how we metabolize is influenced by many factors, and we cannot make decisions based on genes alone. Lesson number 3, your sport nutrition program must be built on your individual responses and observation, not genetic test, because everybody is different and have a different response to carbohydrates. Some athletes need more, some athletes need less, and the same is true for everything. But a genetic test cannot give us these predictions. Lesson number 1, why it is important to listen to science. I often hear saying we can't trust science because one day one study say one thing, the other day one study say another thing. But you can find any study that show you whatever you want to believe. But evidence is not built on one study. It's built on overall evidence of all the study present at the moment, either pro or against whatever we're looking for. Studies are not meant to demonstrate anything. They simply respond to a specific question. And when you put a lot of questions together, you create hard science, a consensus. So one study, two study, three study, that doesn't mean anything. We need to look to the overall evidence. It is also true, just because science has not demonstrated something, that is wrong. So it's also important to put together the evidence as a baseline and individual response and personal experiences. But we need to be careful with placebo effect, meaning if we believe that something is happening, if we do a certain thing, might be becoming true, not because it's true, but because we believe it is. The mind has a lot of power on our physiology. The studies on athletes and genetic testing are very limited, and the few we have are on a small number of subjects. So we have no evidence whatsoever in the use of genetic testing in professional sports and professional athletes. However, there is a randomized controlled trial, very well designed, on health marker and weight loss using genetic test. One group was following an average balanced diet, and those that did the genetic test were divided in several groups based on the results they received. At the end of the study, a long list of health markers were analyzed before and after the nutrition. At the end of the study, the results were exactly the same. Actually, the group that didn't do the genetic test had a slight advantage over the ones that did. The researchers think that it's due to the fact that we're less worried about what they were eating. If you would like to learn more about the Mediterranean diet, incorporating elements of it, or making part of your sport nutrition program, you can download my free ebook, The Mediterranean Diet for Professional Athletes. You can find the link in the description below. Lesson number 2, genetic tests cannot predict nutrient metabolism. When it comes to sports nutrition, a gene is not a destination, it is a possibility. If a genetics test tells you that you carry a gene for celiac disease, doesn't mean that today you need to stop to eat gluten. A gene is simply a predisposition. It's the environment that dictates if that predisposition might become a reality. The environment is what dictates gene expression. There are environmental factors that we cannot control and others that we can. So instead to worry about which genes you have, make sure that the environmental factors that you control are taken care of. And that is your lifestyle. Stress level, sleep, sunshine, and all the other factors that you have a control on. There are others that you don't. Pollution. Yes, you can move to an area with less pollution, but I wouldn't do that just because a genetic test tells you you have a certain gene. Your genetics test might tell you that you don't metabolize well vitamin B12, for example. I just wanted to do a very simple thing. Go to your doctor, ask for a vitamin B12 test, and when the test results come back and you'll see that your vitamin B12 is normal, you understand why you cannot use a genetic test as predictor for nutrient metabolism. Your environment is not static, it's dynamic, because life is not static, it's change. There are times where you have more training volume or less, you have more stress, less stress, the mood is better, you spend more time outside or less time outside. So you cannot use genetic testing as a reference for nutrient metabolism, because you might take decisions that are not necessary because you may limit your diet or taking supplements that you do not need. So number 3, as a professional athlete, you cannot make any sport nutrition decision based on a genetic test. Even because if the genetics test tell you that you don't metabolize well carbohydrates and you metabolize better fats, what do? You go on a low carbohydrate diet as Robert, and then what's happened? Your performance they start to decline and they get worse and worse. Additionally, if you would take this test in different moments, you would have different results because your genes, nutritional speaking, are influenced by the environment. And in life, what happens around us change, is not static. Today, you have learned three important lessons. Lesson one, learn to trust science, but also your personal experience. Science doesn't have all the answers, but has a lot of answers. And you can use it as a baseline, and you combine that with your own experience and responses to whatever you're doing. Lesson number two, genetic test and nutrient metabolism. Gene expression related to nutrition is influenced by the environment. And the environment where you live is not static, but is dynamic. For example, if you're going through a lot of stress, your appetite will change. The way you absorb nutrient might change as well. And this is true for many, many other aspects in our environment. And don't forget, we have no evidence of any kind that genetic tests can improve health, performance, and recovery, or that allow you to make any sports nutrition decision based on result, especially if it is against what your sport demand. So you make your sport nutrition decision based on science and how you individually respond to whatever you're doing. You put these two things together, and as right now, this is the best action you can take. In the future, we might have a test that tells us how to train and how to optimize our nutrition. We hope so, but as right now, there isn't. So don't fall for this marketing. Do not do any genetic test, do not spend money, and do not follow any recommendations based on the results. If you enjoyed this video, you will love the next one because this is something that every athlete had to deal at some point in his or her career, especially weight division sport. In the next video, I will answer the question how to lose body fat without losing speed, power, or endurance. I will see you in the next video. Ciao.